Cheers, everybody. Well, semi-cheers. Ooh. Did I break that one too? Oh, excellent. Another broken glass. Don't know if I should drink out of that. I have to be careful. It's cracked on one side. Hi, everyone. I just had a kitchen emergency. Sorry for the delay. I thought I'd make myself some hot coffee before the stream this time, rather than having lukewarm coffee left over. Oh, Jesus. So, I just had a bit of a disaster in the kitchen. So I put my coffee on, so an espresso coffee machine. So the glass is sitting there, filling up the coffee, the milk frother on the side. Crazy boy, and I had my audio off. I got the end of it. Thanks, mate. Wow. £20, dude. You didn't have to do that, but thank you. 75,327,412 seconds until Christmas 2025. Wait, what happened to 24? So anyway, I put the glass on, and the machine vibrates a little bit, and sometimes the glass kind of moves on it. Anyway, I walked away, I was doing some stuff, and the glass vibrated and then crashed and fell off the edge of the thing, shattered the glass, and coffee everywhere. So I figured I would clean it up before the stream, rather than let it sit there during the stream and then have to deal with it afterwards, where it was all sticky, stuck everywhere, whatever. So one shattered glass, coffee everywhere. Smells nice in the kitchen. Smells like coffee, but it was messy. Thankfully, it wasn't the milk. It was just the coffee. But you know, dark down there, dark benches, dark coffee. I'm sure I've missed a whole bunch to clean it. And I just noticed that this glass, don't know if you'll be able to see, there you go, is also shattered. Look at that. I'm going to drink it from the other side. I'm not wasting this coffee. That'll be 2 coffees wasted. So at least I got a hot coffee for a change. Whew. But that was happened last minute before the stream started. Hi everyone. Welcome to Disaster Zone episode 1. No, it's fine. Okay, I'm now. I don't know what I'm coming or going. Just put it in another glass. Yeah, no, it's okay. I'll drink it. When it's finished, I'll chuck the glass out. That's 2 dead glasses this morning. It's okay. I didn't like them much anyway. I wanted some new ones. So, how is everyone doing? Let me go back and say hi to folks in the chat first, because there's a long list now already. Jerry, yes, sorry, I entered at 6:30 p.m. instead of a.m. I did it late last night. Sorry. But I did fix it. Me duck. Dave Paul Jones. Okay, what does that mean? I don't know what that means. Antonio, hello. To expected maker, as we know that Sion is going to make something. Well, maybe I won't today. I don't know. Mad Techie, hello. Teen Inventor, hi. Sid, good morning. David Esser, hello. Alan, good morning. Graham, hi. Ray. Scrollies, lost it. Rob, hello, good morning. Cable Tie, hello. Did I burn the toast? No, I don't have a toaster. I've been meaning to buy one. Haven't got around to it. Mr. England, 12 hours too early. Yeah, sorry. Beata, hello. Christos, hi mate. Joe, hello. Mitchell R, good merrings. Bruce, Ian, hello Ian. As in Ian Scott Johnson. Just a cheeky beer. What? Hi all, just a cheeky beer. What is... So, only fair I make up. You gotta pay for the... Thanks, crazy boy. Yeah, I gotta pay for it somehow. Yep. Everyone... No, don't do it. Christian, hi. Simon, hello. Okay. Imla, hello. Embedded Hobbyist. Good morning. Okay, I've lost my order completely. Didier, hi. Brett, 77, hello. X Micron. Dave Harris. Dave Hines. I think I've got everyone, but yeah. scrolling backwards. Oh well, if I missed anyone, I apologise. Keith, hello. Okay, sorry. I'm going to drink my coffee before the... Well, speaking of cracked glass... Okay. So I'll tell you about my week. Had a bit of an unexpected event on Saturday. I was actually recording a video for you all for the channel on Saturday when it all happened. Well, just before it happened. I need to get something off my phone. Actually, no. I need to copy it off my phone. 1 second. Some photos. Okay. Just need to send some photos to myself. Because we're talking about cracked glass. Okay, sending it to myself on my... love how it is so exact. What? What's exact? Yeah, the Juki is just a step up, or 50 from the previous one. Hey, Flow Rider. Yes, it's good. It's good. I'm very happy so far. There's been a few teething problems to be expected when you ship a machine. A bit of a high, what's the word? Not high. A very accurate machine from one place on the world to another place of the world. You know, things move, things shift, whatever. They've been doing some extra calibration on the machine since it's been installed. The super guys have been fantastic. I got to say, big shout out to Heinz, to Andrew, to Baird, Craig, everyone, the whole team there. They've just been absolutely fantastic, super responsive. I get visits every couple of days from the guys just coming in and making sure everything's fine. It's really, it's been incredible. I got to say, well above and beyond. Okay, I've got some photos to show you. Yeah, absolutely. Like it's just been great. Like I had some. Well, I'll tell you about the things in a moment. Wait, we didn't schedule. Say the next day. What was that about? I don't know. I missed a bunch of the chat. Hey, Rat Madness. It's not not a slideshow. Let me just what order? Okay. So okay, how am I going to do this? That'll do. Okay, so that is, no, again, my desktop stopped working. Let me just turn it off and back on again. No. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Okay, I don't know why. So this is the pallet that the Juki came on. So that's like a two and a half person job to lift. Like it's really solid. It's got these thickness beams on the other side as well, right? It's really massive pallet that the Juki came on, right? The Juki's 2-point-something ton, and this was, yeah. So on Saturday, it was a rather windy day, the windiest it's ever been down here. The roof was going crazy. The front thing, the door was like so loud and shuddering. Like I was trying to record a video during it. And I came upstairs and I was working up here and I heard bang! And I thought, oh my God, the wind has blown the rubbish bin, my rubbish bin I keep out the front, against the wall or my door. So I went out and found this. There you go. You can see the other side of the pallet now. Like double row of timber. So the wind had blown the pallet. It was so strong it blown it onto my car. Yeah. So I now have big dents in my car. As you can see, there's one there. And there's another one. and there's another one, and the mirror, and of course it shattered the corner of my windscreen, which has now been growing and growing. It's now across half of my windscreen. I've been very careful. I still have to drive, unfortunately, here and back. I've been very thankfully it's not on the driver's side, but it was an unexpected gift from the Juki pallet. So I have to go. I'm going to try to go down today, but it's probably going to be Friday. I've already contacted the insurance company, and they'll be dealing with it, and I'll get my car fixed. But is that structural apex frame damage? Then structural I know what structural apex frame is. The problem is this is all these big dents you see. They're all one whole panel on the car. Now I know that they've got these fancy tools that they can kind of suck the panel out again. I don't know how they fix stuff like this these days. I'm sure that they've got, you know, there are experts out there that I don't know anything about it, but I do know that it's one big massive panel on the side of the car, and I don't know how fixable it's going to be. But I was really lots of Bondo. Yeah, I don't know what. Not going to fill it. Whatever. I don't know. I mean, let's not go into how they fix cars. Anyway, that was an unexpected gift. So yesterday I started cutting up the pallet, and then my next door neighbour, actually, who's got a forklift now as well, which is great. My next door neighbour bought a forklift. He also brought out his huge saw, like bigger than I've ever seen. Like it's like a triple size circular saw on steroids, and just zipped up the whole thing, cut it into pieces, and got his forklift out, and he moved it all away from me. So, but that was an unexpected gift. So, you know, we're talking about shattered glass. I seem to be on a roll with my shattering glass at the moment. Hey Joe, yeah, it's I mean, no one got hurt, which is great. Like, it was a Saturday, no one was around. That was the other problem. No one was around, and I couldn't get
Super Chat.
Thanks, crazy boy. You already donated already. Thank you. Coffee whilst you wait for repairs. Yeah, I think I'm probably going to want my car for a week. I don't know. Whatever. I'll work it out. But it was a Saturday. There was no one around. I couldn't lift the pallet off the car, so I called my mate Alan, who yeah, he came down. He's not looking very happy there. Anyway, and the both of us had to like drag it off the car. I don't think they're not going to ride the car off for that. It's nothing structural. It's cosmetic. But that panel goes all the way from the back. So goes all the way the back, across the top, all the way down the front. So it's a large panel. But they're not going to ride the car off. Or if they do, no, I don't want to upgrade. I'm fine. Look, I wouldn't have even, if the windscreen wasn't shattered, I probably wouldn't have cared much about the cosmetics. I would have got it fixed at some point in the future, right? But obviously I can't stay with the windscreen like that. And if they're going to do the windscreen, they might as well fix the rest of it. The apex, okay. I don't know what the apex frame is. I don't know. It just looks, to me it looks cosmetic. I don't know. Lisa wasn't the wife. No, she'd absolutely want it to be her car, because she wants a new car, and she's due a new car, actually. It was like, get Yaz a new car, buy a Juki. Get Yaz a new car, buy a Juki. Well, she can't drive the Juki. No, it's fine. It's fine. So anyway, that was my Saturday. Pretty much messed up my day. Yeah. So I'm on a roll with shattering glass. So that's 3 lots of shattered glass. Yeah, I can claim on insurance. You can claim anything on insurance here. Like your excess goes up. Your premium goes up. That's all. But yeah. So it's going to cost me out of pocket like $950 for my excess. I've got a high excess because I think I've claimed twice in the last 20 years on insurance. So like I don't claim that often. I'd rather pay less every year. What what is the logo doing? It's in GIF mode because of the super chats. But you can change it. We can go logo GIF Pac-Man. Should work. Yep, there we go. Okay, so it could be a write-off. Depends on the construction of that part. Fingers crossed for you. Well, either way, the insurance covers it. So I'm out of pocket $900, and whatever the insurance company decide to do, they decide to do. So, yeah. I'll let you all know. Would you do other creators' PCBs, pick and place for free, local makerspace, get some funds in? No, I really don't want to manufacture other people's products. Manufacturing other people's products is way harder than most people think. Like, it's sourcing components or having the customer source the components, loading up the machine with someone else's components takes a really long period of time, dialing in the components, getting orientations and everything right, and then being responsible for the manufacturing of someone else's product is just not something I'm interested in doing. I'm not set up for it. Could have bought 2 Teslas instead of the Juki. Yep, I could have, but I couldn't have got my boards made with the Teslas. Like, I might have been able to sit in my car and drive around a bit, but I still would have had a problem manufacturing boards. Could be a write-off in the UK due to the cost of storing at the garage while waiting for the parts to arrive. I don't know. The other interesting thing is this is a Honda Civic, but it was their Euro edition. So this was an import. And so that could be a problem. Like, getting parts will be interesting. The shape of the car is slightly different to what the regular Honda Civics were here. So, and they don't do a Euro version anymore. That was the last of the Euro versions. I've got another picture to show you, actually, which I'll quickly copy over. This one's kind of exciting. This is how I spent most of my day yesterday. But this is really exciting. I actually have some stuff to do today. We'll do some PCB design, but I just want to show you stuff. So, oh no, I'm not even on the thing. There we go. Look at that. Look at that. Bet you can't guess what that is. Hey, wagon loads. No, just discussing how the pallet that the Juki came on fell on my car on Saturday and smashed the side of my car. That's all. And I smashed 2 coffee glasses this morning and got coffee everywhere. It is a shed. It is there's a neoden hiding in there. So the guy that bought the neoden, Paul, he's in I keep saying Perth. He's not. He's in Queensland. He flew down. He had to come here for some client stuff anyway, and so he came over yesterday, and he organised to get that pallet, that crate made, and we packed it all up. We got the machine onto the pallet, which was fun. We had to do that manually, even though my neighbour's now got a forklift. He wasn't around, and we crated up the neoden, and then you can see on the right hand side there are all the feeders and everything else that are in the excuse me, all in the Juki boxes, and we wrapped all that up, and that's ready to go. So that's all being picked up tomorrow, Thursday. Have you ever thought about piezo jet printing instead of stencil printing? So, good quality solder paste printers, not stencils, but like actual printing machines, are very, very, very expensive. Very, very expensive. And yeah, like more than double the price of a good stencil printer. And they're way slower to, I can stencil, like I can paste a board off a stencil in 20 seconds. Depending on the fidelity of the parts and stuff like that, it can take you much longer to do it via a nozzle based printer. But you also don't have to worry about buying stencils, and if you change your design, you don't have to get re-stencils and stuff. You don't have to store your stencils and everything else. Yes, I've got a lot of my space back because of this. Obviously, there's stuff stored in front of the garage door, but it'll be nice once that's all gone, And you can see on the floor, just in the background here, they're the plates for the Juki feeders. So I'm going to work on a stand. So I've got 4, and I've got another 4 coming that I've ordered. And I've got stacks now of 40-40, 40-20, and 20-20 extrusion. I've got feet, I've got wheels, I've got all sorts of stuff. How do I wash my stencils? I've got proper stencil cleaner stuff, and I do it by hand. And I wash them after I use them, and I wash them again before I use them. But I really want to buy a stencil cleaner, like an ultrasonic cleaner for stencils. But they're horrifically expensive. So the guy, Paul, that was here yesterday, he was saying, you can get a metal tub made up, like go to some, company here that just folds metal, get a metal tub, like a steel metal tub made, just buy some ultrasonic inducers, like 4 of them, whatever else, attach them onto the sides, build it into some type of box, and you got a cleaner. And that's basically all a stencil cleaner is a big ultrasonic cleaner. Just need it in a very specific shape. So I might look at getting a DIY one, either me making one or me commissioning someone else to make me one, because even buying a second-hand one, they're like $4,500-$5,000 for a second-hand stencil cleaner, if you can find them. They're all overseas, have to bring it in from overseas and stuff. Paste printers, I expect, need to be used to stop the paste drying in the heads. Yeah, I don't know how that all works. I would assume that there's some way of extracting the paste back out. Yeah, I don't know how you'd clean them. I've actually seen when I was in China, when I did that Shenzhen tour, we went to one production facility and they had one of those, I can't remember the brand of it. Anyway, it was huge, and it was incredible. It was, doing super fine pitch placement of paste on the thing. But it was hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars for this machine. It's just not worth it. My automatic stencil printer is working fine. My next capital expenditure, if and when I'm ready, it's going to take me a long time to get back on top after the Juki purchase, but I will look at getting a newer, more modern stencil printer. I think, I've said it before, and I'll say it 1,000 times, if you have a good pasting session, you can have a shit pick and place session and you can still recover the board. If you have a shit pasting session, it doesn't matter how many millions you spend on your pick and place machine, the board is screwed, right? If your paste is no good, as in the pasting or the solder paste is no good, then forget the board. It doesn't matter what you use to pick and place it. So my stencil printer setup at the moment is fine. The issue I've got, so we're having, what day is it today? Wednesday. So Monday this week, we had the record coldest day in June for over 10 years in Australia, or in Melbourne. And this week is, for June, is below, every day this week, I can't talk, is below average for June by between 5 and 7 degrees. This week is just an ultra cold week, right? And so I come in the morning and it's 4 degrees or 5 degrees in here. I leave my paste out overnight because there's no point putting it in the fridge, because it's as cold outside of the fridge as it is inside the fridge, right? And the problem is the paste, even though I can warm the paste up, I've got a paste mixer now, I can get it to, well, I don't want to get it to room temperature, because room temperature is, way too cold. It's 10 or 15 degrees too cold to use it on my line. So I use the paste mixer to warm it up to get it to 20 odd degrees, stick it in the stencil printer, and, after 3 runs on the stencil, it starts getting too cold and it won't come off the squeegee. So, I can't just really stick a heater in that stencil printer. But the new modern stencil printers have full climate control inside, right? And you can store your solder paste in the machine. It's got refrigeration for your paste in there, and you've got your live paste being used, that it's kept at 21 degrees, for instance, and it refills the new one from the cool one. Like, you know what I mean? It does it all for you. And in my environment, it's going to be something that I definitely want to look at investing in. Either that or eventually move out of here and move into a place that I can fully climate control the production line. But, you know, I've got another 2-year lease, so we'll see how we go. I think we have your missing heat. Probably. It's really, really cold. Yeah, it still didn't snow. It never snows suburbia, cable tie. I'm glad. I don't know, like, I reckon everyone would just like stop and not know what to do, not know how to get out of their driveways or whatever if it snowed, like as in properly snowed. But it'd be really nice, just once, to get to play outside in the snow for 5 minutes and then go inside and get warm again. So, yeah. Okay, before I kick off KiCad, it snowed in Jasper, BC, Canada, which is weird. Right, well, I mean, we can go up to the mountains to snow, but would it work if the PCBs came pre-tinned from the board house? Or does the paste need to be sticky? Yeah, it needs to be sticky. No, you can't. Pre-tinned won't help you. The parts don't stay on the board. You can't then reflow it again. Yeah, no, it's got to be proper. It's got to be solder paste applied during the run. So I have Reflow Master Pros back in stock. These are boards that are built, and I just haven't put the through-hole stuff on yet. But I ended up going for a hybrid where it's like my original. Do I have an original? Here we go. So they look pretty close. If I hold it from the top, easier. So this one's the original, this one is the new one. So as you can see, they look almost identical. The differences are new buttons. The buttons are slightly smaller, but they're surface mount buttons, although they've got a peg leg on the back for mechanical strength, which is good. That was fun to get pick and placing, to get it accurate enough to get it right in the peg leg. And the SD card slot here is now gone, and I'm using an SD chip instead. And then I've just rearranged some of the parts on the placement. Otherwise, they're identical. So there's like, doesn't matter, like you can, either one, you put the code on and it works. But it means that I've got less through-hole soldering to do, which is nice. But I also got an increased BOM cost because of the change to this SD card chip and stuff. And the buttons, everything's more expensive. But I've got these back on my store now, which is cool. I had to slightly do a slight revision on the case because of it, because the buttons are a little bit shorter, so I had to redesign, make the case a little bit more compact, but that's all done. So anyway, that's exciting. I still got to do through hole on these, but I've halved the amount of through hole I need to do, which is always good because it's my least favorite thing to do ever. Okay, last week, Blizzard. I built one and it worked. And after the stream, I built 2 more and sent one to Michael. Is Michael in the chat? I don't think so. Haven't seen him. Maybe he's sleeping. And I sent one to someone else, to a guy called Dylan. And they are both working on getting some demo stuff ready. And Michael's been working on DVI output. I also put the PS RAM on the back. Oh, you're here but cold. Hey, Reed. Yeah, too cold to type. So I put the PS RAM on the back as well for them. So Michael's been working, so Dylan's been working on LED stuff and addressable LED stuff, and I think he's going to be looking at porting his VIC-2 emulator over, which will be cool. Michael's been working on DVI out stuff, and where's my... So there is a Blizzard channel now on my Discord server, so anyone can join. And so in here, they've been just posting stuff. Dylan's got a video of text and stuff going, hey DIY, and Michael posted some pictures earlier on. He's got, look at that, DVI out. So what was that? That's 800 by 600 with an 8-bit color palette, but you haven't got the paletting stuff working yet and everything. Anyway, so he's playing with frame buffers and stuff. Hey, Andy. Playing with frame buffers, using the internal SRAM first to see how far we can push it, and then I'm going to be playing with the PSRAM to see, again, how far we can push it. So, that's pretty cool. Oh, I have a package coming today. Excellent. No palette yet, just 8 bits of color. Yeah. So that's also on the radar. So there's progress happening there, which is cool. There's also got, where's your parrots? There you go. There's a parrot on a blizzard. So I have to, there's a few things I want to do, and so I thought I'd start today, excuse me, with, I want to add a carrier board. So that you can plug the board in and break out another PMOD. Is that a dead parrot? I don't think it'd be alive anymore. Pretty sure whenever that photo was taken, that parrot will be long gone. Just having a kip. Okay, so I haven't started yet. I've just got an empty project here. And what I want to do is, I was going to start working on a carrier board. Do a bit of KiCad this morning. It's an X-parrot. That's actually quite funny. It's an expat. Hey, Christian. It's just sleeping. Will that open? It will. Okay, good. So I'm gonna start with just grabbing on the outline of the board, and I also want to grab just the headers. I'll grab the PMOD for now. Okay, I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to paste it into here. That'll do, and I'll set my...
Geek says how unexpected.
Hey, Quixotic Geek. What's unexpected? Me being in KiCad.
Geek says greetings, mortals.
Greetings, humans. Okay. So that's my layout there. What I also want to do is grab...
Secret says KiCad.
See, it can't even say KiCad. Silly talking, doesn't even know how to say KiCad. KiCad. I want to find my shields 3 up. Which one do I want? No. Yeah, 3 up proto. Okay, let's do that one. Okay, I want to grab, this is my prototype board, but I want to grab those and those. No, not that. Oh, you idiot. That. No, actually just that one. And that, and that, and that. And put them in here. That's obviously too big, but that's okay. I want to... Probably should set up my grid. 0.2... No. Maybe that. That looks off. But okay, we'll deal with that later. So I'm going to have to get new headers made. I don't know. What is the end use of the Blizzard for graphics? Can it be connected to a full power GPU and do live? What do you mean by a full power it's not a computer. What do you mean a full power GPU? So the stuff they're working on, the stuff Michael's working on, is video output off the Blizzard board. You don't plug it into a GPU, you plug it into a TV. via HDMI connector, and then you'll have some form of GPU graphics driver in the actual FPGA as one thing. There's no end game for the Blizzard, like the end use for graphics. It's whatever you want to do with it. But we'll be providing different projects that can do different things that, you know, then you can extrapolate on if you want to. But I don't know what you mean by connected to a full power GPU, like an RX 4090. Like I don't know what you mean. You got to remember that the ICE 40 is not a super high powered FPGA. Like, it's not a little baby.
Geek says, can it run Doom?
It can run Doom, yes, it can, and it probably will. There people have got Doom running on this chip, but they're doing it through emulation. They're doing it through, like, you know, building a soft core CPU and running it off that, which you can do all those things, right? Hey Emery, what are we talking about? I just got an email from Altium. Seems like they have new lower pricing for small one employees, less than 250k per year pricing. Still not low enough. Yes, they'll never be low enough. Catch you later, Christos. Have a good sleep. Lots of echo. There shouldn't really be echo. I mean, it's the speaker's going to pick up the sound, but why is there not? I don't know why it's not talking.
Wagon Low says extreme echo.
Oh, it's really delayed. I wonder why it's gone really delayed. Weird. Okay. So I'm gonna have to get new headers made.
Speaker terminal says echo, echo, echo.
Yeah, okay, folks. Can we not echo for the point of it? Thanks. Also, stream... Really? It's not that loud for me. I'll turn it down a little bit. To me, it sounds the same loudness as my voice. So, if it is louder, I apologise. Yes, I know, too late. So I'm going to have to get a 17-pin header made, and what is that one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Geek
6,
says echo.
and an 8. Also difficult. No, I turned it down. Hopefully it'll be better now. So I want to make... So the Blizzard's got one PMOD connector on the end. There's an additional bunch of I/O that are broken out. 1 second. So as you can see here, there's let's copy them into here. A bunch of I/O that is also broken out from the FPGA that are not in a PMOD configuration, obviously, because of the PMOD is a double row headers, so you can't do that and make it breadboard compatible. So what I thought of doing was making a carrier board that, hang on, before I forget, let me just do this, sorry, because I will forget. I need this to be a different layer, because I will forget, and then I'll wreck the layout of the edge cuts. I want this to be... okay, it can just be user drawing. Okay. Okay, good. So I want to make a carrier board that, you know, let's say it's that you can plug the Blizzard into, that will, is that right? Almost. Okay. And that'll break out a second PMOD. And I thought at the same time, well, it can break out a, you know, I'll put a JST connector on there. I can stick a a STEMMA QT connector on there for I2C for the ESP32 side and stuff like that. So it'll just be a carrier board. Where do you source your custom headers or custom audio jack? Well, custom audio jack is different to custom headers, but I've got a company that I buy through Alibaba that I've been dealing with for a while, and they make me custom height and shape headers. I don't think they'll do something like a custom audio jack. I mean, the problem with an audio jack is you'd have to commit to, you know, stacks of them to get something custom made. Think about repeating the standard PMod alongside the one you are adding. Well, it can't be said that there won't be a dual PMod configuration like that, because one is connected to the Blizzard, which will be sitting much higher, and one is collected lower on the carrier board. So that's not going to happen. You know, if you need a dual PMod configuration for an expansion board, you get a different FPGA. Like this can't. I'm not. So there's a few things I said last week I want to clarify on, but I'm not trying to make a competing FPGA board. There's stacks of really good FPGA boards already out there, right? It just, you know, add a second connector wired in. Add a second connector wired in parallel. I can't. I've got no way of getting the PMod from the Blizzard onto the carrier board unless you're going to have some type of extension cable that goes down, then plugs in. That's, again, there are amazing, awesome FPGA boards already out there, right? I'm not trying to make a competing FPGA board. I'm trying to make something different. And if my aim is to not make this be everything that those other boards are, because it's not. It's a completely different angle I'm going for. If you need, you know, hang on. Right. So here's one of 1-bit squared's. Here's a dual PMod connector, DVI out with, or HDMI connector out with an encoder chip, which is great because it takes the load off the FPGA for doing the encoding. Cool, that needs a dual PMod. If you need something like this plugged into it, you're not using Blizzard, you're using something else, right? It's the way it is. Otherwise, I'll end up just making the same board that other people make, and there's no point in me doing that. I mean, if you look at the size of this, and you look at the size of my Blizzard, okay? I'm trying to make something that's different. Not something this size that can support a dual PMod, right? There's already stacks of options there. So, and I just want to clarify, because like a few people were talking to me about it after the stream last week. Blizzard S3 is not specifically a board just for people that play with microcontrollers, right? That want to be introduced to FPGAs. Like you'll be able, I mean, apart from a dual PMod, or maybe a situation where you need way more I/O than what I'm breaking out here on the ICE40, this is the same capability FPGA as what's on this Blizzard board, what's on the Icebreaker, right? And a bunch of other boards. There is nothing stopping people that, you know, do dedicated FPGA stuff from using the Blizzard S3 to do dedicated FPGA stuff. It's just going to have some inherent limitations based on its form factor and decisions that I make on the design of the board, right? I can't find anything in the FPGA marketplace that kind of, that is like this type of form factor, compatibility with all of the tiny Pico, tiny XX range of stuff, and a fairly versatile FPGA breakout, right? So I'm not trying to exclude FPGA people from wanting to play with something like this. There's plenty of opportunity to do stuff like that for them. So I felt like, well, people suggested that maybe I was alienating a bunch of people by suggesting, by being very specific on what the target market for this is. I don't have a specific target market. Like I'm like anyone that wants to play with it can for whatever purpose they want to. But one of the things that I do want to cover in my marketing pitch, for want of better words, is that that I'm hoping it would be a really good board for those that want to play with FPGAs, that are new to it, that are either intimidated by going full on to something like this, or they just already have experience with the microcontroller side, so they can ease into the FPGA side easily, right? That's all. Like, I'm not saying this is only who the board is for. It's something that I want to make sure we cover really well. So just hold on one second. Yaz just messaged me. She normally wouldn't unless there's something going on. Yaz just messaged me a picture of my shoes at home, asking me what I'm wearing on my feet. I wore different shoes to work. I confused her. Oh, and Yaz is in the chat. It wasn't urgent. Okay, well, you normally wouldn't ping. Yeah, I took out 2 pairs of shoes last night. I wasn't sure which ones I wanted to wear. I wore my runners instead of my work boots. So that's really funny. Set up by the end user. Can the FPGA directly linked to the internet? The FPGA can't be defined directly linked. No, there's no radio on the FPGA, so the FPGA can't be directly linked to the internet. The ESP32S3 is directly linked to the internet, and the ESP32S3 can talk directly to the FPGA. So you would have to do something on the S3 to get data in and out, and so via an SPI protocol or UART or whatever you want to set up, right? You got to remember, you get a board. Forget about shipping a board with CircuitPython on it, right? You get buy a development board, an ESP32 development board, and it's got nothing on the chip. You buy an FPGA and it's got nothing on the chip. It's up to you to decide what you're going to put on one or both, either or both of those chips, to do whatever you want to do, right? Now, one of the things that I want to make sure I cover for the campaign is a whole bunch of examples of the two of them working together for various things. So we'll have an example project where the ESP32 grabs data from the internet and sends it over to the FPGA, and maybe puts it on a TV screen for whatever. You know what I mean? Whether that's useful for people or not, I don't know, but we'll have a complete start to end project that shows all of that, right? And you'll have the binary that you can just put on the FPGA to do that, or you'll have the source code that you can read through and modify it and recompile it if you want to. But you got to remember, you still have to program both sides. Okay? Just like you would with any FPGA. Can you run ESP32 emulator on the FPGA? I don't even know if anyone's made one. I mean, there are plenty of other, you can run a RISC-V core on here, 6502, 6510. There's a whole bunch of stuff. Grad AG interface that posted data to a web. Sure, but you have to do that. That's up to you, right? You've got an FPGA chip, you've got an S3. The S3 can talk to the internet. FPGA chip, do what you want to do, but you have to still write the gateware and the firmware to do that. That's on you. It's just like any bit of hardware, right? There's no such thing as an FPGA with a radio in it, not that I know of, but having an FPGA talk to the internet has to go via something with a radio. That's up to you how you implement that. Sure, you can implement whatever you want, wagon loads. So it'd be the same as buying an FPGA and buying a tiny Pico and connecting some wires between the two of them, right, and setting up some type of protocol to talk back and forwards. The same thing, but it's all on the one board done for you. The interconnect's done for you, right? And there'll be examples of how that all works. That doesn't mean you couldn't take some of that code and gateware and use it on a different FPGA and a different ESP32 and wire it up manually. Like, you should be able to, with some slight modifications maybe, but that's intimidating for people, can be intimidating. So there's really no limit on what you'll be able to do with this. Anyway, I just wanted to clarify that I'm not targeting this just at a small, at a specific demographic. Hey, Chris. It's not targeted as a specific demographic. I just want to make sure that that demographic hears that this is something that could work for them where maybe other solutions didn't. That's all. I don't want to alienate anyone else on that. Does that make sense? Anyway, let's get back to some KiCad. And so Yaz, I had an interesting morning. I'll quickly tell Yaz if you're listening. So I've got a shattered windscreen. I've now got one shattered glass here and another glass that's shattered into many pieces that vibrated off the coffee machine this morning and went crash and smashed and coffee everywhere. So I started the stream late. I'm having this week is the smash all the glass week. You got to do logo GIF. Hey Robert. Okay, so back to here. So lining up the PMODs is not going to happen, but having a second PMOD is also, could be useful. But the second PMOD is going to have to sit, somewhere off the side, or depending on how wide I want to make the board. Did we call it Nyan Cat? I don't know. Maybe there's a delay. I don't remember what we called it. So, there's no real way of me lining these up like this with the right spacing because they'll be totally different heights. And even though the board will ship without the PMOD connector connected, so my plan is to not solder these on. My plan is to not solder these onto all the boards. They will come separate. You'll have to solder them on. Oh, there we go. You'll have to solder them on yourself. But the other option would be somehow have pins that go down and that goes into the carrier board, but then you can't have one or the other. If you solder this on, then there's no way of getting that into the carrier board. Look like there is room bottom right corner facing. No, I'm not looking for where to put it yet. So wagon loads, I'm just getting stuff in there. Ideally, I wouldn't want it facing sideways. I think that would be awkward. Having a board that got one extension that way and one extension that way, I think is going to look terrible. So I'd probably be looking at still putting it next to it. I need space over here. I just realised I didn't switch back. Sorry. I'm going to need space for, the JST connector for the battery. And yeah, I got to work it all out. These are double row headers, surface mount headers, so you can plug the board in and then you'll be able to break out. It needs 8 I/O, so a PMOD has 8 unique I/O and then 2 ground and 2 3.3 volt pins. So. And I don't have enough I/O broken out to do 2 more PMODs. I've only got enough for 1. So, I still can't do the double PMOD. It's not an option. But something like that, battery can plug in there, and I'll change this to a vertical. Change footprint. Everything opens up on the other monitor. Maker. What? Can I not remember what I called it? Oh, here we go. Okay, change. So that's a vertical one. And I mean, that could... Yeah, no, I still need... So I need to do a double header here as well. Obviously a shorter, an 8-pin one. That would go there. There's no real option to bring pins down from this. So you've got one PMOD on the Blizzard S3, and then you've got an extra 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Another 11 broken out on the sides. If you move the breadboard headers from the top right to the bottom right, when the top right might have room for two. Sorry, move the headers top right to bottom right. What? Sorry, I don't understand. What am I moving? You said breadboard headers. The board shape is the board shape. I can't change the board shape. So that is what it is. I should just group that. I'm just going to rip off some pins. No, can't get 24 IO. Firstly, there's not enough IO left for me to break out, and I can't break it out anyway, and I'd have to make the board, the Blizzard, much longer, and I don't want to do that. So again, I'm not trying to make this. This already exists. The whole bunch of boards like this already exist. If you want 2P mods, 3P mods, those boards exist. Go buy one of those. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not... There's no point in me making what everyone else is already making. I'm trying to make something that's different from what everyone else is making. So I'm just going to just modify this. Yeah, go away. I don't care. Don't need any of that stuff. I just want to get an 8-pin one in there. Okay. Well, I don't know if it's filling a gap per se, but it's still, yeah. Right, so that's a great example. Thank you, Michael. The ICE wireless is hang on. The picture here, like there's here's a FPGA board with an ICE 40 on it, and it's got an ESP32C3 on it. It's more like a coprocessor than as in for wireless or whatever else, than being the main thing that you flash and program. So it's a different take on how it all works. But here you've got 3 PMODs connected, right? Hey Christopher, hey Yumbo Prime. But this is a huge board. Like, it's, you know, 5 times the size of the Blizzard. It's a totally different use case, right? So, you know, or as Michael said, you make your own board, which is fine. Like, there's no point in me making this, because that's what it would be, you know. Possibly, Chris, but, you know, there's already stacks of FPGA boards and other things out there for the retro space. Like, do we need another one? Like, that again, is not my focus for the Blizzard. Does that mean you can't do retro stuff on the Blizzard S3? Of course you can. But there are plenty of other things out there already. So, like, there's no point... again, I'm not trying to... oh, interesting. Still thinks it's part of a group, even though it's not. Okay. I don't think I need an FPGA. I don't play golf. Haha. Okay. Make sure my grid is correct. 2.54. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. No, not 18. 17. Okay, I need a 17 header. It is 17. Wait. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Oh, hang on. Okay, let's try that again. Why did this not edit discard? I clicked on this one and I said edit this footprint. Edit footprint. Why did it give me the 8 one? Okay, there you go. Got to go and write a fed 100 word. A what? A fed 100 words. I don't know what a fed 100 words is, but good luck writing. Thanks for joining. Okay, let's try it again. 1. Oh, my grid. What happened to my grid? Oh, this is not centered. Sometimes the grid system in... Yes, look at that. Okay. No. Why can't I get this directly on there? Okay, maybe that'll work. Go back to 2.54. Yes, so it's 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 13. I'll redo these properly later, or I'll clean them up later. 14. I'm still waiting for the day I can double select, multi-select pads and modify them all at the same time. That'll be good. Still can't do that I'm aware of. You could do 12-bit address and data. That's good mental exercise. What? Oh, we're talking about the thing. Okay. Hey, Nilio. 17 and 17. Yeah, I don't want you to go away. And I don't care about the label, but I'll move it. Okay. So, of course. So some of the headers are centered and some of them are not centered, I found. But okay, so that is what I need for headers if I'm going to do double row ones that break out the pins as well, so you don't lose the pins by plugging it in. So we can probably move that down. Probably grab those labels. Don't know how close we can get to the edge. That'll do for the moment. And battery next to and a stemmer connector, I2C breakout from the S3, and then yeah, like I'm gonna have to make this carrier way too wide if I want these to be next to each other, or if I want them to be facing the same direction. Really didn't want it sideways. Really didn't. But I guess for the moment that's fine. So the question is, what else can go on it, like, or what else needs to be on it? So this is a required spacing for a dual PMOD Hey, Quindor. I mean, so could do this. Like once again, I feel like trying to shoehorn this in isn't maybe the best thing. I don't know, but so what's if we had a PMOD? I don't know. They'll have to line up. I don't know what the official spacing is. I'll have to. Actually, I can get the official spacing. Whoops. Because I can go open. So the wireless, the IceV wireless is open source. Well, there's a few options here, but if I go to that, this has got the spacing on it. So if I copy those, right, that's the spacing. So as you can see, it's quite wide. Oh, the interesting order, pin order, doesn't really matter. So I'd have to do something like, this would be a nightmare. But let's say we had this. To give us a dual PMOD, right? So there'd be approximately one there and one there, right? And then I'd need this one would have to be another header that you'd put a ribbon connector between this one, yeah, out of that PMOD, which is a female, so you need a male pins that go to a ribbon connector that then plugs into this one, that then breaks into this one to give you a 2 PMOD. So this will be routed, you know, this will be routed over here to these pins, and this one will be via ribbon connector. Like, yeah, this is an ultra jank solution to try to get a dual PMOD, which it just seems crazy. Like, it's just unnecessary. Like, yeah, unnecessary. So let's not do that. Let's not do that at all. But unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get them both facing back. If I put them both facing back like this, and they're not dual PMOD specific, I think people are going to be confused and complain. So I reckon it's going to have to be out to the side, unfortunately. Thanks, Jumbo Prime. So it's going to have to be something like that. I wish the PMOD system was just not so, yeah, not so terrible. Not so big, chunky. So what else can we put on the board if we're going to do a carrier board? I mean, is there anything else? I guess I was thinking pogo pins underneath the original PMOD. Right, but what's if you can't do that if you've already got a connector in it. Hey Max, and that's not a great solution. People will break off the. I'm not saying they're soldering the pogos in, and getting a user to have to solder the pogos in when they get a carrier board is not a great solution. and if they don't get them exactly perfect, they're not going to work, or they'll damage them. But if there's already a connector in there, you can't use pogo pins, right? Once you've soldered a PMOD connector on there, it's too late. Now, if you don't, and you put a male header in it instead, like male to male, then it doesn't matter. High voltage input power and buck converter, or does anything connected always run on 5 volt and 3.3? Yeah, it just needs 5 volt 3.3. You're powering the board from the USB connector. Yeah. So, and the standard for PMOD is 3.3 volts through the pin, although some PMODs require 5 volts. But then they normally put their own their own boost converter on the PMOD, like the HDMI, the small HDMI one has a, actually probably even this one as well. Does it have? Oh, this one's only using 3.3 volts. But generally for HDMI, you need 5 volts for power. So there's generally like a little boost converter on there. But to stick to conform to the standard, it's 3.3 volts. So yeah, it doesn't need any higher power. I can't really think of anything else that you'd need that would be useful. And all of this is really just to break out a second PMOD, which I just don't even know if it's worth it. How do you go about LED driver circuit, constant current or constant voltage? Hey, game programmer, what do you mean? Like in respect to what? It's 5 volt from the display to the device. Possibly, Michael, on the HDMI, sure, but right, so maybe it's a buck that's going from 5 volts to 3.3 volts. But what would that be there for? To add a level shifter footprint for a dual ADC and some flavor of DAC. What for though, Chris? For what purposes? Like it's. I mean, they're all expensive things that people, if they don't need them, why would they buy a board that's got things on them they don't need? Like, you've got ADCs on the S3. Okay, there's no DACs on there right now, but then a DAC is very specific. You've got shields. So that's the point. You can... The Blizzard S3 is Tiny Pico compatible. You can plug those things already in the board. Right? Like, there are already shields for that. So why would I just make a shield on a different thing? I2S DAC. But for... Sure, but again, I've got an I2S audio shield. So... But they're things you'd add from a PMOD. Like, if I add those things on the FPGA, then that I/O is taken up for those things, and if people want to use that I/O for something else, they can't. Again, why would you hard put all those things in? I'm not trying to make this is a board that has everything you ever need. Footprints, not stuff. But then how are people going to add them themselves? How are people going to solder on QFNs and stuff onto a board that's already got stuff on them? Yeah. And you've already, you've got a whole ESP32 and ecosystem on the microcontroller side. Why would you want to do any of those things on the FPGA side? But that said, you can get I2S PMODs. You can get, like... Again, if you're trying to get a retro gaming system out of this, buy something else. There's better boards out there for that. Like, that's not what I'm trying to solve with this. Because that's the point of a bloody point of... What's the point of an FPGA? the point of an FPGA is people can do whatever they want with it. So there are already PMODs or other things out. Like, you can take my I2S audio shield. Okay, you can take my I2S audio shield that I make for my Tiny Pico, Tiny S2, Tiny S3 range, and you can wire that to the FPGA, and you've got I2S audio out with a speaker connector. Why should that all be on a carrier board? Like, this is supposed to be, yeah. I know what the point of an FPGA is, but shoehorning people into having all those things either populated if they don't need it, or unpopulated and then they can't put it on. There are already PMODs for those things if you want, or there's already, I have solutions for all those things on the S3 side, but you can connect them all to the FPGA if you want to. Well, you can wire it out via wires. Like, obviously it's not compatible with the head. It's compatible with this side of the board if you want to just plug it in, if you put female headers on the board, right? But if you want to connect it directly to the FPGA, well, you're going to have to use some wires, like you would if you're going to connect anything up with any boards ever. Like, yeah. A lot of people will be breadboarding and using okay, but a level shifter connected to what I/O? Like, you know, like me choosing for them, these are the only I/O you can use because there's a level shifter connected to those, and then because there's a level shifter connected to them, you can't use them for 3.3 volts anymore. Not easily, unless you have some way of turning on or off the level shifter. Like, you know what I mean? Like, again, that's a very, very specific, you lose all this I/O now because of it solution, where, you know, you could just grab a level shifter board and wire it into the pins you want to wire it into. Like, again, it's like, there can't be a solution for everyone. Like, if someone needs a level shifter, you know, they'll need to work out what I/O they want it on, how many I/O they want to use, how they want to enable it, disable it. Why can't they, like, there's 5 volts broken out from the S3, so you could just put those shifted pins on a header. Right, but you can't have both. What's if someone connects to the 3.3 volt pins and the 5 volt pins on it? Like, you can't have them both exposed, the 3.3 I/O and the 5 volt I/O level shifted. That's going to be rather problematic, I would think. Anyway, I again, throwing the kitchen sink at things without an actual use case, I think it just isn't gonna. I don't see what the point is. Which data sheet will tell you which way it'll act? So most people don't read data sheets, to be clear, and most people are quite put out when you tell them to go and read a data sheet. And things need to be, yeah, anyway, I'm not going to go down that conversation route. Anyway, level shifter, I don't know, I still not sure what the use case is for a level shifter. Sorry, don't get me wrong, I know what a use case is for a level shifter, but you're talking about requiring it for a specific use case that may or may not, I don't know. Why no one is making a generic remote data acquisition board around ESP chips, complete with I/O, multiplexer, ADCs, FPGA, ESP. What do you mean no one is making one? But you're talking about a very specific use case. Why do you need an ESP32 on it if you're data acquisition? And if you need ADCs, why does it need an FPGA? If you're talking about something real time that you need all those things, of course there are reports out there you can buy. But you say around ESP chips, but then you say an FPGA and an ESP32. I mean, my Blizzard board can do exactly what you're talking about. It's not that no one makes them. I think that's a very specific use case, or a very generalized statement, game programmer. Like, there isn't such thing as a generic remote data acquisition board, because that's not a generic thing. And why do you need I/O multiplexer for? Like, how much do you want to spend? You can get FPGAs that have got hundreds of I/O. Is the ESP32 for the radio related stuff? You can already do that. Okay, and I'm sure that there are stacks of industrial solutions for what you're talking about. Like, catch you later, Dave. Yeah, I get that, but I'm sure there are stacks of already solutions out there. Like, so why aren't you making a generic remote data acquisition? Why isn't anyone making a generic board? Well, how do you know no one's making one? There's a whole world out there of industrial hardware that you can buy that is designed for those type of things. Why doesn't anyone sell one on AliExpress? Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. You need to quantify what you're saying. Right. There are stacks of them. So yeah, I'm not quite sure what the question is. I'm not trying to be argumentative. I just don't understand what the question is. Like, what? I mean, you can grab an FPGA board. You can grab an ESP32 board. You can hook them together. You can grab a high quality, 16-bit ADC board, breakout board that you can do really good quality ADC capture with. You can buy all those components you can get, and you can put something together. Why doesn't anyone make a specific, everything's already on the board together? I'm sure they do, in the right marketplace. Well, it sounds like something that would be good for you to design, Chris. but I'm not trying to make I'm making a more of a generic development, kind of do whatever you want with board. I'm not trying to make something that can tackle something like that. Like, that's, to me, that's still a very specific use case. It might be a broad use case, but it's still a very specific thing. Catch you later, Andy. There are none that combines an ESP32 with an FPGA and ADCs with analog multiplexers. Well, maybe not. Well, that's an opportunity for you to make one. But that's because you don't find many ESP32s in the industrial space because they're just not good enough quality. People don't use them in the industrial space, other than in China. So that's a thing that's going against you, because, they're not robust. ESP32s are not robust. The IDF is not robust. They're not taken seriously in the commercial, industrials, medical, defense space, because they're not good enough. They're not. So that's why you're not going to find them. And you'd have a hard time, I think, if you made something using one, selling it into the industrial space seriously, because they're just not. I wouldn't rely on an ESP32 for mission critical anything. Hate to say it, but you know. Catch you later, Dave. We need them in the semi-disposable price range space. Well, sure. The problem is you're not going to get that unless there's a massive market for it, because, well, someone's got to design it, someone's got to make it, someone's got to support it, someone's got to, you know, write all the firmware and gateway for it. We're not talking about a just generic off-the-shelf development board that someone's going to just code up themselves. Like, you're talking about something that's still quite specific. Yeah, everyone's leaving. That's okay. Hope you all have a good sleep. Like, it's not the marketplace that I'm in. It's not the marketplace I'm targeting. Well, it sounds like an opportunity for you to make something, game programmer, but it's not. It's way too specific and niche. That's not for me. That's not the space I play in. Truck beeping out the front. Okay, well, I'm going to sit on this. I really don't know. Like, I'm... Yeah. Hey, Dodgy Brothers. I mean, the other thing is I'm probably looking at, you know, I can have a whole bunch of designs for breakout carrier boards and don't actually make any of them, don't sell them, just leave the designs there for people to make themselves if they want, I guess. One of the things that tend to get beat up with spending $1,000 on a board is just not doable. Well, you know, costs come down in, you know, quantity. So if there's no, like, there's got to be a marketplace. There's got to be a customer base already for it. Like, I'm not talking about an abstract one. Like, there's got to be a customer base that are prepared to put money down to make a board like that affordable. So it's disposable, if you want to call it that. So it's let's not call it disposable. Let's call it affordable. You know, you gotta. That's just it's a business use case thing, but it's not something that I'm looking at. So everyone, feel free to go for it. Oh, how funny! You can't see the green in the logo because of the angle, but I can see it here. You can only see it in the top corner. Those green LEDs. Weird. Maybe pink will work. I think there's a space for a proto board for it, as in prototyping space, like I've got on my other proto board. Oh, not that one. Like a prototyping area like this. I guess I don't know how useful that would be, and what pins are we talking about breaking. Like, what would you? Well, it doesn't really matter, I guess. Yeah, I mean, there's no reason why not, I guess. There could be a... It wouldn't be very big. Hey, Peter. See, the other option is I do this. Oh. Copy, paste, and these aren't really lined up, but maybe later. And if I make it wider, So if I make it kind of like my other boards, but not as many things, put that there, put that there, and then this can go over there, and then I don't know. Oop. I know I just got rid of the proto area, but I'm just thinking. So that way you could put a tiny XX shield on here. So you got your extra PMOD over here. So you got two PMODs facing the same direction, different heights. What? Johnny's on vacation? You're always on vacation, Johnny. Oh wait, aren't you retired? So aren't you always on vacation? Something like that. So you got a blizzard over here, you got an extra breakout over here for a whatever shield. Could be but for the ESP32 side. So you've got, you know, you can put a LOL RGB shield, you can put a screen, put the RTC logger, I2S audio breakout over here, and then you've got your extra PMOD here. I2C breakout for the S3. And JST. That's a bit close actually. There is what? Belgrade? Ah, semi-retired. Okay. Yeah, I think you should talk. I think, Chris, I think you, Wagon Loads, Game Program, what do I talk? It seems like there's a need for a product like that. It's just not my wheelhouse. It's not my, what I'm looking for to do. But if there's a need out there, you guys should jump on it. Definitely. Sid, how important is the breakout, the, like, having a prototyping area? But it's not my marketplace. It's not what I do. And I'm not so close getting there. I'm not. Like, just stick a level shifter, just stick some ADCs, just stick, connect it to what? How's, like, you know what I mean? Like, what I've got is too generic. Like, you're talking about something that's a complete shift. Like a product is not just a whole bunch of parts thrown on a PCB, right? It's got to work, and it's got to work well. It's got to work to a particular use case, set of requirements that I don't have, I don't know, that isn't my space. So I definitely think the extra header here is probably better. I agree with the boards needing to have a clear function. Do one thing well and try to do everything. Yep, I agree. Like, how useful would a prototyping area be between the boards? Might be a bit too hard to get in there to solder. Could be interesting, maybe. What are we designing? So I was looking at, I wanted to make a breakout board. This is for the Blizzard, my Blizzard board. Here, that's the Blizzard, that's got double row surface mount headers, so it's like a carrier board, and then that broke out some of the I/O from the FPGA to a second PMOD, and then, you know, stick a JST connector on there for battery operation for the whole thing. Stemma QT connector just for the S3 side. I mean, there's no reason why I couldn't put a second Stemma QT connector over here on 2 of the free I/O that on the FPGA for someone that wanted to do I2C output or any type of output from Stemma QT. Right, options to hook things up like this is great, but you know, putting footprints for parts but not populating them, I don't think is the right way to go. Like even just something like that would be cool. I think, maybe. What do you mean extends to the FPGA side? I mean, the proto area won't be connected to anything. It's just empty things. Like having it in the middle, I think, is a problem. So I probably wouldn't want to do that, but like having it over here for a tiny Pico shield. So you got, so this part of the Blizzard S3 is a tiny Pico, so fully compatible with the tiny Pico shields. So that's for the tiny Pico shields. The same with any proto board. It's not a breadboard, it's a proto board. So you'd solder things onto those things, and you'd solder wires from one to another. Like they're, you know, it's exactly the same as this. This proto area here on this board, other than power, there's nothing connected. It's a prototyping space. So you can connect whatever through hole, or if you want to solder surface mount parts of those, and then you have to solder wires from one place to another place. Same way you'd work on a proto board. Yeah, I agree. That's why I moved them out. No, I don't think it's a good place to have them. I mean, I could put proto here. I'm not sure what people would use them for. Again, you know, people buy this board. I don't know what they do with it. I've never seen any pictures from anyone of any projects they've worked on, that anything they've soldered onto it. I know, you know, plenty of people use them to plug additional shields in, have them all connected. Usually I expose through holes for my device pins so I can wire to them when I put a proto area. Right, but you can do that here. So these are double row headers. So when you plug the board in here, you can stick DuPont cables into them to wire out. So you've got these broken out already, and here. So these FPGA pins, you can stick DuPont cables in. These ones you can stick DuPont cables in. Obviously the PMOD one you can't, because it's got a PMOD header on it. So that's already taken care of for you. You don't need to expose through holes for those, because you've got those on the headers. Let me go grab a board. Hang on. Okay. So I don't have my camera plugged in. So it's like this. So you've got, these are double row headers. You put a board in. So I've got a board in there and I've still got access to the pins next to it. They're all broken out, right? And then here's a shield, for instance. Ooh, an I2S audio shield. Speak of the devil. Right? That plugs in there. So now you've got, you know, think you'd have a blizzard here. And you've got a shield there. And a PMOD sticking out. It'll be the same thing. Except, you know, obviously longer. Sure, it's just if I need to make the board bigger to fit the proto in, that's the problem. It does add to the cost then. What about an RDC connector? Take all the free pins out on a breadboard with a fat cable. But why? Why would you take it? Again, like that seemed to be like a very specific use case. What's not mechanically sound? You're saying this is not mechanically sound? Or you're talking about using DuPont cables? Well, it's for prototyping. If you need something permanent, you wouldn't be doing it on this. You'd take the Blizzard and you solder it into a prototype board, like a proper, you know, like perf board, and then you do all your wiring that way. Like this is about not being not permanence. It doesn't have to be mechanically sound. It's like saying a breadboard's not mechanically sound. Not solid enough for prototyping. What? But a breadboard is. People prototype on breadboards all the time, and it's no different. Actually, it's better because the DuPont cables sit in these headers way better than they do in a breadboard. Johnny's not mechanically sound. That's funny. Right, but then it's one or the other. Like, so here's a whole bunch of I/O broken out this way, but the same I/O is broken out this way and the same. And then you need, okay, an I2C cable, then you need a connector, then you need cables, or who supplies the cables, and what's the other end of the cable? An I2C cable on one end going to what? How do you get an I2C connector into a breadboard? You know what I mean? Are you going to run? I think you're confusing things, Chris. Sure, battery powered. Like, I'm not sure what. Like, there's a board. Battery powered, if you want to that way. Like, I don't understand what is not mechanically sound. This is more mechanically sound, more stable than using a breadboard, a general breadboard, you know, beige looking whatever. Like, I don't understand. Sorry, someone's out the front of my door screaming or saying something, but not for me, I don't think. It's, you know, the proto board, the wires hanging out are the weak link. But what are they hanging out to? There might not be any wires hanging out. I don't understand how that's any different to working on a breadboard. This is not for permanence, this is for prototyping. And you'd have no less, you'd have better mechanical stability than a breadboard. But sure, not compared to soldered. But again, what are you... Like, anyone that needs mechanical strength wouldn't be using a breadboard, and they wouldn't be using... They'd be soldering their stuff directly to perf board. So I don't understand what the problem is here. See you, Sid. Okay, so you use a perf board. Like, once again, I'm not... This is not about permanence. Soldering is permanence. Someone wouldn't be putting a Blizzard into an expansion prototyping board for a engine controller. That'd be soldering up a solution like that. Once again, wrong use case. You always take things really to the extreme in the wrong direction. I think you have trouble looking at what the stuff that I do as what it is, and you extrapolate out to directions that are beyond the use case or just don't fit any other purpose other than, like, you know what I mean? Solder it to a board. Prep board's cheap. Permanence, no problem. Why would you be using this breakout board? You wouldn't. Like, again, not the use case. Very much not the use case. The use case on a board like this is plug it in, blah, 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 play around, do my project, that's really cool, pull it out, do something else with it. Or leave it in, like, yeah. I don't know. Like the Raspberry Pi connector. Oh, right. So not an IDC. So you're talking about well, they're the same thing, like the headers. Because I'd build out different carrier boards. Okay, so this into headers is mechanically sound, right? So you put headers on your carrier board that you make, and you plug your board in, and then when you want to unplug it, plug in a different one, you do it. But everything else you do soldered. You don't do DuPont wires. You don't use this. You make your own that's got all your soldered stuff on it, and you just, with headers, and you plug your board in. Again, I don't understand why, like, shoehorning this into your use case is the wrong use of this. Anyway, yeah, I've definitely gone off on a tangent. I'm going to sit on this anyway. I'm going to catch you later, Alan. Have a good night. Have a good sleep. Yep, Chris, but that's fine. I get that, but if you have a very specific use case where you need to solder things in a certain way or have things to be whatever, then that's what you do. Or you can design something up yourself and get 5 boards sent from JLC PCB for next to nothing. Like, you know what I mean? You can already get them. I've got some 6 ones here. That extra row really helps, Mike. Hi, Mike, by the way. Hey, Andy Mouse. I don't know, I just, again, I can't make something that works for everyone. It just doesn't exist. So I make something that works for the majority of people. You're right, if a breadboard works for prototyping for a very large group of people, then that's something where my solution is way more stable than a breadboard, then that's a good use of what my product and my time is for, rather than trying to target it towards a very small use case. Just doesn't make sense. Not for me. Or true that people can design somewhat themselves. A lot of people see that as a big hurdle and would rather have a board they can easily plug stuff into. PMod and Stemmer. Yep, I agree. And look, I don't know, like, I sell, not that I sell many prototyping board these days, but I sell more of these without a prototyping area than I do these. Right? They're the same, almost, but that's got a prototyping area on it, and this one doesn't. And they're more popular. I don't know how many people would use the prototyping area. Used to wire wrap prototypes, dates me, yep. Like, I got to look at my target market. I know my target market very well, and my target market is way broader than what you're talking about, Chris. Like the other end of the spectrum. broader. So, you know, I can't make 50 products. Well, I can. I don't. No, I can't. I don't have time. Like I can only do. So breakout bolt would need various connector types on there to easily wire up existing stuff. Prototyping area is nice to squeeze in, but that's it. Right. It'll be less important to a lot more people, the prototyping area. I agree. If I can find some space for putting some in, but you know, putting a little bit in there is kind of pointless. Putting a lot in there is a waste of space. Like that added quite a lot of cost to the board. You know, that's almost 50% bigger PCB. So just weight alone on this, like it you know, almost doubled my shipping cost. It you know, much harder to reflow because of the amount of copper on here. Like there's a lot of reasons for me not to do it. Yeah, it's cold. At least it's getting warmer, but it was a bit chilly this morning at 4:30 in the morning. Would be ideal for connecting desired I/O to desired connectors. Only if there's enough I/O to do that. Sorry, enough proto area to do that, and you'd still have to then solder those into something. And again, I think that's really, it's niche. That is niche, Chris. You might not think that your niche, your requirements are niche, and I'm telling you, compared to my customer base, your requirements are 100% niche, right? And that's just the way it is. Like, sorry. Yeah, sure. Can I add I don't know what a GPIB connector is. What is that? See, even Chris, even Mike prefers the side by side without proto. Yep. Oh, you are joking. I don't even know what the connector is though. Right, but Cable Tie was joking. If you add a proto, you really need to add through hole for every pin. Yeah, well, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. And my other boards with proto area don't have that. They're just a proto area. But oh, it's bigger than the board itself. Okay. I mean, I guess there's no reason why. Why they can't be like that. And I guess on this side, I wouldn't do it for the S3 side, or maybe, I don't know. But then I'd have to do really? God, it's so annoying, the grouping sometimes. So I'd have to do that. Use the testing for connection and control, and for later hooking up disk drives and such. Okay. Can you make a footprint with an extra hole? Well, I don't need to make a foot. I mean, here, like that's technically. You're wanting this, right? Where they're connected. There you go. But then, that's useless unless you've got a prototyping area. So, you know, how big a prototyping area? See, suddenly this becomes something that's useful to you and has maybe 70% of stuff in it not useful to most other people. So, you know, I know it gives the option, but it's still a lot of extra. Like, look how big the board's becoming now. Really? Why is that not snapping? So something like this, roughly. Just pins for each pin of the connectors. What do you mean rather? They have to be routed. What do you mean rather than routing them? I mean, these still need to be routed. That's going to be routed to there. That's going to be routed to there, or, you know, at least the I/O anyway, right? I mean, that has to be routed, otherwise those pins are useless. You still have to connect them somehow. So fine, okay. So something like that. I mean, but is that enough prototype area for you? Yeah, I agree, Michael, but yeah. But Chris wants to prototype. He wants to do it all on one board. That was the whole point. You mean for the PMod and the I2C? Well, it can't be for the PMod. This PMod can't be, because that's not broken out anywhere. And this one, you don't need it, because you don't put the PMod in and you've got the I/O already. So I don't understand what that is. These will already be connected to I/O over here. And you just don't put the PMod connector in, and you've got all that I/O broken out, like with through holes. So then what am I doing all of these for? I don't understand. I agree, Crindor, but yep. Like, this is just becoming, again, trying to be everything for everyone and not a good version of anything for anyone. So if these 8 are already broken out, and I mean, pins for these you'll have here, then I don't understand what else you need. I'm still confused. So you can choose to connect a connector to either the FPGA or the of these ones. No, see, that's once again wrong. That's what you want. That's not what 99% of the people want. It's just what you want. Okay, what people want is this I2C connector is connected to I2C on the S3, and they can just plug their I2C module in, just like this, and it works. That's what people want. People don't want to have to then work out what pins they need to connect it to and then solder wires between the two of them. That's not what this is for, right? Like, again, that's the target market is plug a Blizzard in, here's an I2C connector, plug this thing in, and off they go. And what if they want to connect that to the FPGA? Or they don't want to connect that to the FPGA. This one here might be connected to the FPGA to 2 specific pins, and they're the pins they'll have to use. Like, I don't see what the problem is. I got one here connected to the S3, one here connected to the FPGA. Why do they need to solder which wires they're going to be going to? How does that help them in any way? It might help you, but it doesn't help the masses. hey, dude, buy one of these. You're missing the whole point of what this is about. I'm not making a super flexible anything you want FPGA board. That's not what this is. I was quite clear on that. Once again, your use case is like go get an FPGA. Like you've got a choice of thousands of them. I'm sure you can find something that'll be laid out exactly how you want. And if not, like, you know what I mean? I just, again, I know my customer base for the stuff that I make, and they don't want any of the things that you're talking about. They don't need them. It'll just be confusing for them. It'd be more confusing for them. Like, there are a stack of people out there that don't know how to solder and don't want to solder. Right? They don't have the ability to connect wires between this connector and these pins over here. So yeah, I'm going to save this for now, and yeah, I'm going to sit on it. I've got plenty of time. Who's with me? No proto, yay! Give you input from someone who uses FPGAs and would like to have proto boards off the shelf in this range. Okay, well, it's not going to happen. Proto boards off the shelf, specifically what you want. Not from me, but you can design one, and you can make one, and you can sell them or give them away. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense for me to be making and designing and making a board and stocking a board that one person's going to buy 5 of. It just doesn't make any sense. So, you know, Anyway, yep. Derailed. Oh, got more PCBs coming today. Excellent. Cool. Need to go fire up the pick and place machine. Went over days for shields that only 3 people would buy. Yeah, me too. I've got plenty of ideas for products that only 1 person will buy. Hey Loki, how you doing? Hobbyists love hobbyists think they love proto areas, but how many use them? I disagree with that, Chris. I don't believe that usually the point of a breakout board is to provide a plethora of connection options to choose between. I don't agree. Because the ecosystem that most of my customer base play in, that's all been standardized for them. So there's stemma QT for I2C stuff, and then that's it. You use wires for anything else, and most people don't solder for permanency. They breadboard, or they, you know, DuPont cables in boards like whatever I've got here, and it's never designed to be permanent. They're playing with and tinkering with, and if they ever want to make it permanent, well, they have the option of going and taking it to a perf board. And no one expects to be able to buy a breakout board that is the Swiss Army knife of everything, but that they're going to have to actually learn how to solder and get a soldering iron and blah, 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 blah. People just want plug and play now. And, you know, whether good or bad, that's majority of the marketplace that my stuff gets sold in. So, you know, and those that want more have the skill to do it themselves. They don't need me to design them a board that they can buy 5 of. They can do what I just did in KiCad or whatever else and send it off to JLC, and they can get their 5 boards in a week. Or if it's mail shipping, 3 weeks. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have to provide all those different solutions for people because people have the skills to do it themselves. If you're skilled enough that you are doing hardcore prototyping with FPGA boards, you can roll your own PCB. Like, really. I don't have to do that for you. That's yeah.
Intermit Tech says 100% agree. Same with my customers. They buy the boards for convenience and easier, better connections mostly.
Yeah. If they wanted a project to solder stuff up and to pick their own I/O and do their own, you know, checking data sheets to which is the right I/O to connect this to and everything else like that, then it's a different marketplace. It's a different group of people. I can't get most of the people who buy my stuff to read the data sheet for the products that they're buying. Like, you know, how many people get one of my boards and stick it on their own board and wire up the wrong I/O and then don't understand why their boards don't boot anymore, right? Like, it happens all the time. You know, stick a button on I/O 0 and their board doesn't boot and they complain to me that their board's faulty. People don't read, and when I say, look, you know, read the data sheet, it's on the pinout card. I specify I/O 0 is a strapping pin. To find out more information, read the ESP32S3 data sheet. Yeah? Nope. They don't. It's a different marketplace for people in the electronic space now. It's it used to be hardcore people, and now the hardcore people are here, and everyone else is here. And everyone else wants to buy a whole bunch of stuff and plug them into each other and just have it work. They're not interested in how it works. They're not interested in anything, any knowledge of the hardware that's on there. They want to plug it all together. They want to copy a file off the internet or hack some code a little bit once they've copied on there and their project's done. That's what they want to do. It's, you know, whether that's good or bad, that's you know, majority of the people that buy my stuff. So yeah. All of my new breakouts use DuPont. The whole point of them is prototyping. When prototype is done, I design a PCB or solder to a protoboard. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I got like a $2,000 soldering iron and a $3,500 nano soldering station. Soldering irons get very expensive. They do. Do you write a KiCad footprint for the Blizzard so they can design? Of course I will. I mean, I don't right now because the board's not out yet. But yeah, there'll be a footprint for that, a schematic, like a symbol, the schematic, a footprint. They can just drop it into the thing and make their own board if they want to. Absolutely. I do that with all the rest of my boards right now. They're all on GitHub. You want to make a expansion board for the Pro S3, there's a footprint and symbol in there. You want one for the Tiny S3, there's a footprint and symbol in there. I destroyed my vacuum gun, my desoldering gun. No matter how careful I am with everything and the timing of pulling it and pulling it away or whatever else, stuff always gets stuck inside, then I can't get it back out again. So I think I threw it out. I'm pretty sure I threw it out. Like the 7th time pulling it apart to clean it, I was done. Yeah, there's people working out there, and there's it's busy. It's a really busy place out there at the moment. Lots of construction going on next door, and one of my neighbours has asked to use my parking spots and the next door neighbour's parking spots and stuff, and they're building some massive structures. They don't have room on site to do it. They're a builder. They don't have room on site, so they're building it here, and then they're going to transport it over. So it's like a work area out there. Solder extractors. Solder extractors. What is that? Paste solder extractor. I've not had the need for. Why's my new solder extractor? I don't do a lot of desoldering these days. What is a solder extractor? A desoldering gun is good when they work. So is that just like a vacuum gun? Is it the same thing, Chris? As like a normal... Obviously it's a hand piece for one of the workstations, but they suck well. Man, this thing sucks. If I didn't have my JBC already, I probably would have bought an Axiom. I'm probably going to get one for downstairs. I'm finally going to set up my rework area, my inspection rework area downstairs now that the Juki's in. So I know exactly the length of my line now. I'm going to set up a second station down there. I'm going to have this Mac down there, and so I don't have to walk up and down the stairs all the time when I'm inspecting and doing stuff. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm not going to buy another JBC. They're just too expensive. So I'll buy an Axiom, but I'll probably have to move probably handy having the Nano. I don't want to buy a second Nano. That's the one thing they don't do yet. You can't get cloned versions of all the Nano stuff. And that's the stuff I use the most now. Where's the tip on my coffee maker? What? Yeah, I'd stick with original JBC tips, maybe. Maybe not for the really big tips. I might just, because I go through those quite often. Yeah, I'll probably do that. But as I said, I've got my normal station and my Nano station, and I use my Nano station 10 times more. Unless I'm just soldering through whole stuff, like for my Reflow Master Pro, I'll use the bigger iron. But if I'm doing any rework or touch-ups or anything, that's all on my Nano. And, that's a $3,000 unit, and I don't want to pay another $3,000 for a second one, and you just can't buy clones of them. So, filter and then to vacuum source. Okay, that's pretty cool. But does it ever get stuck? Does the solder solidify inside? That's the problem I have. So with the other, the normal gun unit type ones, like the Hacko looking ones, the problem is if you get your timing wrong and you stop suctioning before all the solder's gone through, then it can get stuck inside. And once it gets stuck inside, if it's stuck inside near the tip, it's fine, you can get it out. If it's stuck inside at the end, you got to pull the whole thing apart, and then sometimes you just can't get it out. And after 7 times of trying to do that, I just chucked it out. But I don't use it that often. What is in the soldering iron to justify? Well, my Nano one is like, we're talking about little tiny, iron. No, I'm not going to pull it apart. Like we're talking about a soldering iron that is like this long, and little tweezers, like tiny little tweezers. Like I can pick up and move 0201 components around. It's a little soldering iron, like, you know what I mean? But that's for very specific use case for rework and stuff like that. It's not designed to. They don't have a lot of thermal mass, right? But a lot of the really expensive ones, they're a multi-thing station. You can plug multiple things in them, whatever. Anyway, very easy to clean out. Okay, well, that's good to hear, because my one isn't. But that needs a PACE workstation, right? Like, that's not a standalone unit. You need all the station with the vacuum pump and everything else, right? Well, that's the thing. Like that soldering thing I got was like $89, and if it dies, you pay $89 and you buy another one. Better have AI on it. A low-end Hacko desoldering gun. The solder sucker is trapped by a small disposable filter. I don't know. Mine was a cheapie, but yeah, it was just terrible. You need a power supply optionally with a built-in vacuum. An external vacuum, the simple base. Okay. Well, anyway, I don't need it. Like I can't remember the last time I had to desolder any pins that I just couldn't do myself manually, like with my iron and some pliers. Yeah. It depends on how you want to leave the PCB intact afterwards. If you're trying to save the connector or the item, if you're trying to save the PCB, or neither. Definitely no AI in my units or in this premises at all. No smarts at all. Okay, folks, I'm going to go. It's been over 2 hours. I wanted to cap this one at 2 hours. I went over. I'm going to go fire up the line. I've taken a bunch of video. I need to put together another video, Juki stuff. I will, at some point, as soon as I can, show you some less yabbering and more the machine running. Will be cool. Yep. Routing axiom is not the best. Right, that would be you, Bruce, not your axiom. But anyway, okay. Catch you later, folks. Take care. Have a nice week. And I'll chat with you all soon. Bye.